All right, hello, ladies and gentlemen. You are now tuned into the In My Opinion podcast. Give it up for yourselves for being here. Give it up for yourselves for being beautiful. We are now doing episode 25. Shout out to the podcast for making it to the 25th episode. So today we got a short show. We only got a few things to talk about, really. We are going to be talking about none other than the Joe Budden podcast. So, bro, a lot of shit is going on. Shout out to the Olivia Dope video I did for doing 6K. That video did 6K. We got a lot of listeners from the JBP over here now. So shout out to you guys. Thank you guys for fucking with me. So Olivia left a few weeks ago, right? And now we have Rory and Maul suspended. Well, more so Rory, and then Maul is taking Rory's side. Okay. So it's a lot to get into, right? Let me break it down. The first episode, so we already had 2 episodes without Rory and Maul. I'm uploading this on Saturday, so we're probably going to have the 3rd episode without Rory and Maul, and we'll see how that looks like. We'll see if Joe's going to still stick to Ice and Savon and Parks, or if he's going to mix it up, or if he's just going to do just him or take out Ice. I don't know what he's going to do or how he's going to approach it. But from what I saw on Maul's Twitter today, it doesn't look like he was recording today. He was asking the timeline what they was getting into tonight. He was asking, it was a lot of people giving him flack for not doing the pod, and he was just having conversations about that. So I highly doubt that the boys are back. But we're going to break down what the fuck happened. Okay, so the first week, when there was no Rory and no Maul, I usually listen to the pod, just the straight pod by itself, audio only on Apple Podcasts. And then I later go back and watch it on Spotify so I could get like certain shit happens during the pod that you might want to catch visually. So I go back and watch it on YouTube later on. And because I'm a huge fan. Motherfuckers had me fucked up like I was hating on Joe. But anyways. So I'm listening and I'm like, okay, I don't hear Rory. Okay. I don't hear Maul. So after a while, I figure out, oh, they're not there. And then I believe in the episode right before, Rory and Maul were talking about doing a vacation right after the show or something like that. So no Rory, no Maul. And I can't remember if he got into it at all during why they weren't there. Oh, he just said a vacation and he tried to smooth it over. Vacation, let's keep it moving. So I'm like, Rory and Maul though? Like, that's a little, why is this so sudden? Like usually, okay, well, first of all, excuse me. Before they even had the episode where they were saying it was a vacation, they missed a day. And I know they missed a day because that was the last time I did my upload. And that was the 2-year anniversary of my podcast. Give it up for the podcast for passing its 2-year anniversary. I thought we passed that shit a month ago, but I was off. But anyways, yeah. So that's how it started. They missed the pod. I'm like, oh, okay. What are them boys up to? And then the next pod, Rory and Maul aren't there. So I'm like, oh shit. That's why they missed the episode. But Joe just said it was a vacation, so I let it be. But of course, I couldn't truly let it be. So I had to go do my it's fucking me up. I had to go do my due diligence and see what the fuck is going on. So I went on Rory's page. Oh, he's in the stew. I went on Maul's page. Oh, he's in the stew with Maul and Benny the Butcher. So I'm like, oh, okay, like maybe it's crunch time for the album. Maybe he's really trying to wrap things up. I know that he's been working on shit for his album for a long time. He's expressed like how stressful it's been trying to get the album done and everything that's involved in the album in the middle of a pandemic and how he's going to release it. Like if you're a listener to the pod, you already know like Rory has expressed the stress of this fucking album. So I'm like, oh, okay, like maybe he's trying to take care of the album. Maybe Maul's there for support. Because Maul wanted to get out and go to LA or wherever they're at. And then the more digging I did, I found out they're not even in they're not even in LA, they're in New York. But I said, oh, okay, well still he might just need that time off. Everybody needs time off from work here and there to take care of other shit, because life is still life outside of work, right? So I was like, okay, I'm gonna take the vacation. My eyebrows are raised though because everybody in Reddit, it's been talks and mumbles that Rory, that there was tension, specifically that the boys were getting done in with the money, and I talked about this on my Olivia podcast. When I talked about this when I talked about Olivia Dope leaving. Reddit has been on it. They haven't been letting them breathe. And then I remember Rory going on the See the Thing Is podcast, and when he was on there, he said something like, "I don't give a fuck about podcasting," and then he called himself, and then he fixed it, and he said, "I don't give a fuck about other podcasts. Like, I only care about our podcast because it's not like work." Something like that. He reworded it, but as soon as he said it, I said, "Oh, you don't care about podcasts, buddy. You got one of the best podcasts out right now." And then not only that, the first episode when Rory came back, Joe was pretty much, I guess, I'm assuming Joe already saw how everybody was just like, "Oh, Joe, finally Rory gets somewhere where he's able to talk and able to express himself. He's not getting cut off." Da, 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 da. So the first time Rory came back, Joe was just like, playing on that joke, like, "Oh, I'm gonna let you talk," like, "Oh, I'm not gonna be mean," or, "Oh, I'm not gonna cut you off," yada yada yada. And then he also brought up how Rory said he doesn't give a fuck about podcasting. And then when he brought it up, I said, "Oh, okay, so I wasn't tripping because I peeped that shit too," right? So those were just the things that ran past my mind on that first week. And then also I learned that I didn't really care for Savon's takes. I see why I never really went to go check out his podcast. But I'm always a supporter of a young black king out here, possibly doing something. But nah, I couldn't really fuck with his takes. And then Ice, if I'm not mistaken, Ice was on some older episodes because I got into the pod late, but like I fuck with it so much, I've gone back and listened to like old ass episodes. And if I'm not mistaken, they've had Ice on before. And I also thought about how AKADEMIKS has been going in on Rory. They never talk about it on the pod, but somehow I ended up on this like loop. I ended up on some, how YouTube will recommend some shit in the algorithm. Somehow YouTube recommended AKADEMIKS going in on Rory, talking about exposing how he cheated on his fiance and how him and Sam are breaking up. That's how I found out. And for a long time, Rory joked about being depressed, and it would kind of be like he don't mention being a fiance no more the way that Parks does. He doesn't mention Sam no more the way that they bring up Rim. Like as a consistent listener, you pick up on a lot. And when he got corona, first of all, I didn't think he had corona because that was during the time of him and AKADEMIKS were going at it pretty tough. And then when he got the corona, Joe had said something like, because he was working from Zoom, and Joe was just like, "We could do this shit without you," type shit. And sometimes certain jokes is just like, okay. You already got Charlemagne in their ear talking about how replaceable they are. Speaking of, I'm shocked how much Charlemagne hasn't really rubbed this into Joe Budden, because their beef is pretty strong now. They don't talk about each other no more. But when at the end of the Spotify shit, and when it was coming out with Joe fucking dogs, and it was coming back out about Charlemagne's rape allegations, like I feel like that was both of them doing shit to each other. And Charlemagne kind of hinted at that on the Brilliant Idiots recently. He was pretty much like, he got to the point where like he likes to do shit, and you don't even need to know it was from him. He just likes to be petty and do shit to you, and it's like, whether you know it's from him or not, he's just happy he got you back some way somehow. You feel me? So when he said that pretty much confirmed my theory of that whole little weird smear campaign that kept coming out about Joe when he was fucking a dog and all that, all those allegations and shit. I feel like that was from Charlemagne. So to sum it up, before I break it all down, Joe hit Rory and was just like, "Hey, take the next few pods off, get some rest." Rory took it bad, and Maul also took it like, "Yo, my nigga, how you just gonna tell Rory to take take some time off the pod. Like, Rory didn't ask for time taking off the pod. How you gonna do, you feel me, do that? And I'm gonna break all this down because I feel like there was a lot of shit that Joe said that made me say, oh, okay, I could see. Oh, okay, I could see. So let's break down this last pod for episode 425. So he starts it off with a song from his. I've stated this before. I love Joe Budden as a commentator. I'm not too familiar with his rap. I'm not too familiar with his music. But his song was just like saying some shit like, yeah, they don't like me because I'm mean, something like that. That's how I could really retain from it. And then the next song, I know like the back of my motherfucking hand, it was Kendrick Lamar's Feel. Now, that song is pretty much like he gets into a lot. And the first verse is, I feel like a chip on my shoulders. I feel like I'm losing my focus. I feel like I'm losing my patience. I feel like my thoughts in the basement. I feel like you're miseducated. I feel like I don't want to be bothered. I feel like you may be the problem. I feel like it ain't no tomorrow. Fuck the world. The world isn't, and I'm done pretending. And fuck you if you get offended. I feel like friends been overrated. I feel like the family been faking. I feel like the feelings have changed. And feel like my daughter compromised and jaded. Feel like you want to scrutinize how I made it. Feel like I ain't feeling you all. I feel like removing myself. No feelings involved. I feel for you. I've been in the field for you. It's real for you, right? Mind you, he played this twice. So, it's a lot of feelings of feeling away. So, and he was just like, this is the type of vibe I'm on. If you haven't been here with me before, if you've been here with me before, then you already know. So that set the tone. I was like, okay, like, he said he was going to be transparent, and that's a hell of a way to start off the ep to address this, right? So throughout the episode, he kept saying how the seats are open whenever they want to come back. And then whenever he said shit like that, it kind of reminded me of the episode of when he addressed him and Sin's breakup. It kind of felt like a breakup. Like, because I remember he said Sin just up and left, but they didn't break up. You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of just like, oh shit, like I've been here with you before, Joseph. How is this going to turn out? Because he keeps saying, oh, I think they're going to come back. But you don't know if they're going to come back. And then he stated how Maul doesn't even give a fuck about podcasting. So I was just like, how you going to get a motherfucker back who doesn't give a fuck? And then he said that he didn't know, he can't speak for Rory. As soon as he said, I can't speak for Rory, I instantly said to myself, so you haven't talked to Rory. And then he instantly said back, but I've talked to Rory. I was just like, okay, well, if you talk to Rory, how could you speak for Rory? And then also, Rory spoke for himself. He also doesn't give a fuck about podcasting. He said it loud and clear when he was on See the Thing Is. What I also was picking up was, seemingly so, Parks and Savon were taking Joe's side. But I wouldn't even say taking sides. I would say Parks was seemingly taking Joe's side. I would say that, no, I'm not going to do that to either of them. They were both playing the field, playing the middle. Savon has said something like he's spoken to Maul and Rory. Parks would like say, Joe, you could do this. Letting Joe know, you feel me? Specifically, he told him that during the phone call with Maul, the way he reacted, he knows how to rub salt in wounds. And now let's get into that, because I have an imagination of how that went. So basically, he said the phone call with Maul was just like, hey, nigga, how you gonna tell Rory to take some time off? Like, who are you to make that decision type shit? Now, I feel like Joe was yelling. I feel like Joe was on some whose name is on the motherfucking pod? It's my fucking podcast. I did this before you niggas type shit. I felt like he flexed on Maul on that phone call and was like, I started this shit. It's my name on this shit. It's my name on this network. Y'all niggas just show up and, aid me. I run this show, more or less. And I feel like Maul felt very disrespected, as he should, because that's how I imagine that phone call going. I would love to hear Maul and Rory's side. I can't wait to hear Maul and Rory's side. I don't want them coming back on the pod without hearing their side, because Joe is Joe. And what I've got from Joe is his perception is one thing, but everyone else's perception is another, right? And then he also kept saying, like, you know, they'll be back because feelings are fickle. They come and go. Nigga, you can't tell. In the height of my anger, don't tell me that my feelings are fickle and I'll get over it. And I'll be right back here working for you. Nigga, my therapist said my feelings are valid. What the fuck? Like, you know, it's not the time to tell somebody their feelings are fickle. You say that after the fact. You feel me? So I would understand why Rory would be upset. Pretty much like, nigga, how you gonna tell me to just take time off without asking me, like, if that's even the best option for me? Like, what if me continuously getting up and coming here was actually aiding me and getting through whatever I'm getting through? Because he also said he tried to, like, tap in with Rory and see what was going on, and Rory was just like, I show up, I deliver, I perform. Like, why do you need to know what's going on in my life? And then Joe was just like, that's a red flag. Like, nigga, we're friends. Are we friends? But back to Parks and Savon. So there was also a time where Parks gave up. So when Joe was pretty much breaking down how he told Rory, you feel me, take some time off, he said Rory was okay with it. And then Parks said, oh yeah, I talked to Rory and Rory said he was okay with it too. Sorry, Rory, if that's talking too much. Something like that, right? And that felt like he was taking Joe's side on that. Why'd you feel the need to say I'm sorry if, you know? And then with Savon pretty much, and I don't think Savon was really taking the side, but what I picked up from the fact that Savon and Parks are still copacetic in there and feel well taken care of and still ready to come to work, I feel like it is a money situation. As much as they keep stressing it's not a money situation, they were also stressing, like, you know, PTSD from being in this industry and finding out things that you didn't know about and the way you found out about it. I feel like Parks and Savon are very happy and copacetic with how they're getting paid and how they're being treated, because they don't just help on the Joe Budden podcast. They are important to every podcast on the network. So Joe puts more value into them in their position within the network, not just one pod. They bring more to the table than their commentary and their help on one podcast. Well, Savon doesn't bring commentary, but you feel me? Exactly. He's more behind the scenes and he helps out with every podcast. So he has more value in the company type. And now that I mentioned that, I feel like that was probably a problem that Rory and Maul were running into with Joe, because Joe's like, nigga, like, we can build a network. Yeah, it's my name, but we could build a network. And they're like, we don't want to build a network. That's your shit. That's your dream. So, you feel me? He was just like, oh, these niggas just do this. These niggas don't do much. These niggas just come here and talk. You feel me? Joe has replaced people before. I'm sure he feels like he could replace him again. But at the same time, he did stress that he wants to save their friendship. And I think that's important. I think their chemistry is like none other. I think that's what makes their podcast so important to people like myself. I could sit and listen to these idiots talk all day, especially when they're on good terms and the conversation is just flowing and it's just good shit. I think there's no other podcast like it. Their chemistry is out of this world, man. And I hate to see the pod going down like this. So overall, I do hope they get it back together. Whoa. But before I even get to what I hope the outcome is, AKADEMIKS has been sticking it to Maul and Rory, letting them know that they're workers and this is all they're good for. And yeah, at first he was like, Joe needs to fire them. Then he was like, no, Joe, bring them back. Because what else are they going to do? He's been going in on hours on Twitch, on live on Instagram. He's just been having the time of his life with this situation, because he feels like I'm from the ground up. Both of y'all like got to where y'all at by riding dick. And then not only did y'all get to where y'all at by riding dick, but like y'all not even like vital to the shit that y'all doing. Y'all could be replaced. I never looked at them like that. I don't think so necessarily. I think they can be replaced, but I don't think it will be the same. Like, I don't think Academics would be, I don't think a Joe and Academic show would be better than a Joe, Maul, Rory, and Parks show. Honestly. But I saw where he's coming from. I see the angle that he's coming from when he broke it down. But yeah, so overall, I think Joe flexed on them. Like, y'all niggas, this is my shit. Like, yeah, like, he made that call. I don't think he made the call maliciously. I think he was trying to help, but I think it was the way he went about it. I think he was a little irritated, so he did it a certain way, like, nigga, sit your ass down type. And it was just like, what the fuck? And then Maul probably felt like, if you do it to him, you do it to me. So he took his side, and then Parks and Savon was just like, hey, we be working. Parks is fucking mixing every podcast on the network, all 3 of them. And they record at Parks's house. He's more than just the commentary. Savon is helping out with every podcast. You feel me? He's helping out with getting the clips online, all that good shit. So he's more than just a one position man. And then from what I heard, you know, he was communicating with all parties, you know, keeping everything cool. And he did a great job at stressing like, hey, we're not trying to replace. We just trying to, you know, get through this. So I'm interested to see how this goes. I am hoping, like Joe said, within the next month, the pod could be back together. But I think this is like a real chink in the armor. They keep saying it's not beef and it's not that deep, but it feels like beef and it feels that deep. Maul done pinned, what is it called? Respect is non-negotiable on his, Twitter. I think this is pretty hectic. The boys are on strike. And never would have seen it coming. Not from my favorite podcast besides my own. You know, I'm wishing the best. I do hope they can make up because they have an audience that, you know, damn near depends on them. There's people that tell them, y'all get me through my week. I know they get me through mine, and I'm always eager to hear the next episode. As you see, I will be staying tuned and seeing what goes on with this, and I'll keep you guys posted. Yeah. All right, thanks for tuning in. I share my opinion. You make sure you share yours. If you like this video, make sure to like, comment, share for more great content. The fuck? You know the vibe. 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 The fuck? The fuck?